Hello and welcome back to a Kooky corner of YouTube. Now, remember back to last year? Maybe you weren't with me last year, but last year we made some embossed foil decorations, and this one was for the winter solstice. So obviously I did a sun, and this was in a gold foil, embossing foil, and then we just rubbed on some I think it was acrylic of some kind, then just rubbed it off again to give it an aged look. If you want to have a go at this one, it is in my Christmas, a Kooky kind of Christmas list. So the Kooky Christmas list playlist, this will be in there already, so you could have a go at this one if you wanted to. But today I wanted to do something a little bit different. You know I love owls. Well, I've done this little sketch of an owl. Just literally sketched it out very roughly to give some kind of an idea of how I want it to be. So he's going to have flower eyes. He's got a little beaky there. He's got some feather definition on his tummy. Now, I didn't put any feet on. Maybe I should put some little toe bean feet on. There and there and there. Become a bit bigger. They have big legs. They have big legs. Have you ever seen an owl's legs? They are blooming big, I tell you. Anyway, I digress. It's got a little heart there. So what I'm going to do now, and what you will need, is obviously a sketch of what you want to do. I'm doing an owl. I will try and put this in the shared folder somewhere along the line, or I'll get you a version of this if you want to do the same kind of thing. You want to do exactly the same as me, you could sketch your own, however you want to do it, but I'll make this available if anybody wants to use it. You will need obviously a pencil to do your sketch, piece of paper with your sketch on it, or a printout of my sketch. You'll need some embossing tools. Now, these are ones I had way back when. I can't even remember where they're from. So this is an American traditional embossing tool. This one is one I've obviously picked up from somewhere. They've got kind of rounded tips on so that you can emboss into your foil, but you're not going to puncture it. The ones with the tinier tips may, but if you press less hard with those, that might work. The other thing I've got are these tools. These are like sculpting tools, but they're good for like pushing out. Say, if I look back to this guy, his cheeks and his chin I kind of pushed out with one of these just so that it gave it a little bit of interest and definition. You can add in little bits, which is why I put some feathers on there, so you've got some interest. It's not just a flat piece. They feel quite delicate, they're very light, and they're very bendable still after you've made them, but you can easily push them back into shape. And this, dear reader, is where my microphone was not switched on. Just showing you that they're very easy to straighten and you can reposition them. This is the foil I'm going to be using. It's a very nice gold foil. I was going to use a silver one, but it's not as good quality as this one is. And so I very much recommend this particular brand of embossing foil. I am placing my template on the embossing foil now, and I'm going to use my embossing tool to draw around the shape onto the foil. I'm going to use one with not too sharp a point on it. But also another good thing that you can use if you want to be able to see your lines is a wooden dowel that's been sharpened. And also the other thing that I find really useful, which I will be using later on in this particular clip, is a pink ballpoint pen. This is a really good way of seeing which lines you've traced over, so you can accurately get everything in there without missing any of your lines, because you'll be able to see the pink over the top. You can fold back your paper at any time to check your lines, make sure they're going through. This is where I bring in my ballpoint pen because I think it's such a good idea. And it really does transfer well to the foil, especially if your foil is nice and thin like this particular one is. So yeah, great way to transfer your image, and then you can always add in more detail afterwards. Okay, so he's transferred over really nicely onto this foil. This foil's nice and soft, so just beware of the thicker stuff because it doesn't hold as much detail. So you can see him quite clearly there. You flip him over and got a really nice transferred line. Now, what you can do is once you've got it like that, if you notice anything that's not transferred over properly, then you can just go back in with your tool. The ballpoint pen work really good for going over the lines, by the way, so that you can see where you've been, because it's really hard otherwise if you're just doing it with an embossing tool. But that is kind of like an embossing tool on its own, isn't it? So yeah, that worked really superb. Obviously not great if you've got a black ballpoint pen, so try and pick one with a different colour. So I'm using this wooden tool now as well, which works very well. And the ball tool is pretty good for pushing out areas that you want to be defined on the other side. So if I push those out, and you can also go around and push out bits of the body as well with this. It's kind of cool, adds a bit of texture. Pushing out his beak. If we turn that over now, you can see that his eyes are now out, and you can then, if you want to, go back in and add even more definition by pushing it back in. Just be careful that you don't go through your foil. And I'm going to add his little nostrils there, like so. So that's quite nice. Now I'm not going to do the shoe polish or acrylic method with this like I did with my sunshine, because I want him to be nice and bright. So I'm going to keep him like this. And what I'm going to do now is to cut him out. Now, I'm using a very old pair of scissors, and I'm just going to roughly cut out the chunks, because do be aware this can be quite sharp on the edges. So if you're doing this with children, it might be an idea that you give them a hand with this bit, perhaps. And also it helps you conserve some of your foil for other projects. So sorry about the rattling foil. This would work very, oh sorry, squeaky as well. This would work very well on those foil pie tins, you know, the bottom. If you cut out the bottom of those, that could work really well for this as well. Once you've got the main chunk of it out, you can go in and then finesse it, a bit of finesse cutting. I've got a real objection to fussy cutting. When somebody says, I'm just going to fussy cut this, kind of. Kind of understand why a fussy cut, because you're kind of making more attention to detail. I'm going to call it a finesse cut. Sounds more grand. Not that I'm grand, I'm not at all. I'm going to cut that chunk out there just to make it easier. And you have to try and maneuver around the foil in these wing areas, because you want it to, you don't want to cut on the line, cut at the side of the line. We can go back in and alter bits. Could probably do this with a scalpel if you wanted to as well. I'm not sure how well that would go though, so I'm not even going to attempt it. So this old pair of scissors will do. And so they're not the best scissors for cutting out with, because they've got rounded ends, but hey, we do what we do. Cut out a little toe area. Sorry for the noise of the foil. But it's a fun little thing to do. And if you do it with the pie tins, let me know how you get on. I would have done it with one of those had I got one to hand, but I don't. So I had to go with what I have, which is, it is rather lovely. It's a very thin metal. It's so nice to emboss into. So if you're wanting something that's going to last a bit, it's probably worth going. This was a little more expensive, but it's probably worth it, I would say. And if you live in Germany, it might actually be cheaper as well for you to buy. Get those little bits. There we go. It's very pliable. You can bend it to your will. And up to the other wing. But I didn't cut, that's it. Yeah, so just be aware of the sharp edges. But it's such fun. It's such fun. I'm going to leave a little bit at the top so I can get my awl in there and make a hole for the hanging bit. I need to go in there though, cut that one out. Hey, there he is, little owl boy. So now am I going to cut that out? I might cut that out actually. I could go through his head. I think. Yeah. There he is. There's a bit there. That's it. So with the edges, just kind of feel around it, make sure it's not too sharp bits left over, like that one there. Just going to trim that one off. Move all those to one side. Be careful of those little bits, they're very sharp. Okay, going to grab my awl now. Can find it. It's hanging around on this trolley somewhere. I know it is because I put it there last night. And then simply poke a hole with your awl into the top of the owl boy. And then you just thread a piece of string through there and you've got a little hanging ornament. You can even bend his wings in if you want to. You could have some bent wings or hold them out flat. And if you wanted to, you could add some colour into this, but I'm going to leave mine gold because I quite like him like that. There he is, little owl decoration. He's going to go on top of my tree this year. I've spotted a few more bits I'm going to finesse cut later on. I'm going to make that a thing. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. And also, if you're enjoying the content that we put out here at Kooky Towers, then don't forget to subscribe, because then you will get to know when I upload another video, and then you can come and have a laugh at me making things like this. I hope you've enjoyed this. I will leave a link where you can download this boy if you want to. Obviously you can go with your own designs, quite simple, but if you want to use this, I will leave a link to where you can grab him and use him as your own template. Bye for now.